Hello everyone, this is Tom from Dirk Witte Music Store in Utrecht, the Netherlands, and today we are taking a look at this super cool vintage Gibson acoustic, or electric, or both, because this is the Gibson J-160E electro-acoustic guitar. I'm not entirely sure what the right phrase of this is, or the right phrase to use for this model, because it is actually an electric guitar and it is actually meant or designed to be played through an amp, also back in the day, the J-160E. Famously played by the Beatles. Obviously theirs were from 1964, but the configuration is pretty much the same on this one, also along with the slope shoulder dreadnought body style, because in 1970 we also had one from 1970. So a year after this one, they would switch over to the square shoulder body style, which would look really different from this. But this is still the slope shoulder body style. Very cool guitar, very unique, and very cool to have in the shop. So let's dive into the specs. So this is a laminated body construction, which is kind of strange because this is not cheap. But it is indeed an all laminated body, and that all has to do with this over here, this P90 pickup. This is indeed a P90 pickup. If you look underneath the like the top of the body over there, hopefully you can see that, probably not due to the light and it being inside of the body, but that is a full-sized P90 that you see right there, and that is just like bolted into the top, or like through the top. And then obviously you can then control it over here with a volume control and a tone control, and then you plug it in over here. The reason that this entire body then is a laminated wood construction is because if this top would be solid, then the top would basically collapse over time. Not entirely sure how fast that would happen, but that would definitely be bad, because then your guitar would be ruined in a matter of I don't know how many months or years, but either way that would then happen. So they then decided to just make a all laminated wood body. The top is also quite thick compared to like normal tops that you would see in those days. And then they also just decided to do the same for the back, I think. I'm not 100% sure if the back is also a laminated wood, but that's kind of like hard to tell. But the top definitely is. And along with that, it was also a top that has ladder bracing, so that also then makes it sound even less loud and more boxy. So this is really meant to be played through an amp. That is what these were made for, even like way back in the day. But yeah, again, famously played by the Beatles, obviously. We then have, like I said, mahogany back and sides, which again, I'm guessing are also a laminated wood. We've got 3-ply binding around the top and then single-ply binding around the back, and also obviously in this beautiful vintage sunburst finish, original, with all of that beautiful patina finish checking all over, but all intact, so like no breaks or cracks, anything like that. Also there on the side, even like at the input jack over there, no cracks, no repairs, so that is also very nice to see, because very common to see on these or on other hollow body guitars made by Gibson from this time, that the input jack would then get a get a bang to it, and then it would break the wood. Then that would then have to be fixed, but that is not the case with this one. So again, very nice to see. Got your strap button over here. Got the original pickguard of this faux torchia material with the screws. So that is how these are then applied to the top, just using screws. We've then also got the original adjustable bridge, which then is made out of wood, because earlier in the 1960s these bridges would then be made out of plastic, but they then switched back over to wood. Looks like rosewood. And then also with the adjustable saddle, and I'm guessing that that saddle is just made out of plastic. Doesn't really look like bone, nor does it look like any other sort of material, so I'm guessing that it is just plastic. Which would be correct of this time, and then you can like lower the saddle and heighten the saddle using these screws, so very handy for that. Then also these black bridge pins, which also appear to be made out of plastic. Got the mahogany neck with a rosewood fingerboard, which is bound with the trapezoid pearloid inlays. The profile is a little bit slimmer than medium, I would say. nicely rounded, definitely just a C shape. And it's also a bit narrow. I'm guessing that the nut width on this will probably be like 1 inch and 9/16 because it definitely feels a little bit more narrow than your normal neck from this time. And then again with the original rosewood fingerboard, with the binding, and then also the original frets. So that's also very nice to see. Still got plenty of life there, so no worries on that. Do got some wear patterns, some slight divoting on the first few frets, but like nothing to worry about all that much. And then also with the side dots. And then moving on to the nut. Not 100% sure if it is original or not. It definitely looks old, so maybe it is a very old replaced nut, but it looks to be some sort of a, maybe like a micarta material, which is what they would then have used back in those days. But you be the judge of that. I'm guessing that it is original because it definitely looks very old, and also those slots look accurate for that time period. Definitely have seen models from this time period where these nuts would look very similar to this, so could very well be original, so I'm guessing that it is original, but that is like my take on it. And then moving on, we've got the original truss rod cover with your Gibson pearl logo, along with your crown inlay over there, done in really nice mother of pearl. And then the original tuners, which are the double ring Clusen tuners. The G-string tuner did get a little bit of a bang. Maybe you can see that. It is a little bit crooked, but it works fine. But it is, yeah, just so that you know. And then the last thing to mention, it also comes with a hard shell case, not the original hard shell case. This one is definitely newer, but that is always very nice to have for this very cool model from 1969. Really want a hard shell case for this, obviously. So yeah, very cool model, very cool to have in the shop. Obviously very much like the one that the Beatles played. So if you are a Beatles fan, John Lennon fan, George Harrison fan, this guitar is definitely up your alley. So yeah, and it also just plays and sounds really, really cool. Very unique sound. Not really played, not really meant to be played unplugged. It definitely sounds quite small. It is not very loud, and it's also just not a lot of depth because of that laminated body. So it's definitely meant to be played through an amp, but you can play it unplugged. But definitely do know that this does not sound like a J45, like not at all. Even though that it looks like a J45, it doesn't really sound like that as you hear. So so let's get to that part and hear what it actually sounds like. First we're playing it unplugged and then through an amp. Going to be playing it through the Marshall JTM45 Bluesbreaker style amplifier from 1966. So like just a normal amp, like not really meant for acoustic guitars, because that is what they would also do back in those days. So I'm just going to do that too. You can really get a very unique sound. I can definitely tell you that. But yeah, if you're in the market for this 1969 Gibson J-160E, be sure to head over to the links in the description for further details. If you enjoyed this demo, be sure to like the video and to subscribe to the channel for more cool weekly demos of cool acoustic guitars like these, or cool electrics, bass guitars, even all of that really cool stuff. Also be sure to like us and follow us on the socials, Instagram and Facebook. Links are also in the description. With all that being said, let's hear what this 1969 Gibson J-160E sounds like. Like I said, first we're playing you unplugged and then through the amp, so that you can get a good impression of what this very cool model all has in store for us. So let's get to that part, take it for a spin.